How many times have you gotten on a sales call and then you completely blank and you don't know what to say? You know, it's happened to me before and it sucks, right? It's probably one of the worst things because you just sound like an idiot. You're just like, yes. And usually this follows, if you're not following a script, this can happen. And it can even happen to you when you follow a script because sometimes people just ask wacky questions and then it kind of derails the whole sales conversation. So what if I could give you the framework for never even needing a script again and always getting people in the right state of mind to close on the call? All right, so like I sell with a script before. Sometimes I still do it, but really I don't really need it because I just follow this 4-part formula, and here it is. The first part is pain, right? So first of all, you want to dig into the reason why they're even on the phone with you. You know, and you want to ask a few questions, kind of dig into that a bit. You know, so like, oh, what's going on in your business? Maybe I don't have enough clients coming in, you know, money's getting short. You know, dig into that. Like, how does that feel? You know, like, oh, okay. You just want to understand where they're at. And the more you ask questions, the more you're going to bring it up and the more it's going to start hurting that person. But it sounds bad, but it's actually a good thing because pain is one of the primary drivers people have to change, right? So if you're selling something that can actually help someone change, you know, that's all you need. Like, if you can help somebody actually like get out of pain and get a better result, you know, it's like your ethical obligation to push them as hard as you can. Okay? So the next thing up is doubt, right? So you want to start asking questions generally around the areas that your client or your prospect can't really solve themselves. For example, for us, we sell to financial advisors, and we build marketing systems for them, right? To bring in new leads, to sell them. We're starting to teach them sales, closing skills, because a lot of these guys are old school. They never closed on the phone before, so on and so forth. We set up follow-up systems, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the questions will ask them is, you want to bring up doubt in their mind. So you're like, do you have a system right now where you can bring in clients at will? And they'll be like, well, no. Like, have you ever launched like an ad campaign before and, you know, reliably got the clients that you want? And almost every single time they'll say no, and that's why they're on the phone with you usually, right? Like, have you ever closed over the phone, right? How do you close? Is it all from referrals? Like, some people do direct mail in our space, whatever. You want to think of like 3 or 4 questions which are going to make them think, oh, like it's going to get them thinking why they can't get there on their own. And then moving on, the next part is the consequences of not taking action, right? So this is huge. And this is really how you position high ticket offers, right? So you want to start asking people questions like, what does it actually look like in your business if you don't get this problem solved? Or in your life, if you're selling something non-business related, what does it look like? What's it costing you in your business not having a system bringing in clients every single month, every week, every day, right? Someone will tell you, they might tell you, oh man, it's like thousands of dollars, or maybe it's emotional, like it's so much stress on me, like, because I don't know where my next client's coming from. Whatever, get them to open up, say, okay, yeah, you want to understand that, right? So to recap, we have pain so far, doubt, consequences of not taking action. The next thing you want to do is create the vision of where their life could be with all this stuff solved. You know, like, tell me, like, what would your life be like if you had a system where you could do this? I mean, what would your business be like, right? Dig into that. So you kind of move them away from thinking about the pain to future pacing. You know, like Dan Sullivan has this question, the Dan Sullivan question. I'm pretty sure he like patented it. It's like, if we were working together 12 months from now, you know, what would your life have to look like for this to be like an amazing investment or something like that, right? something along those lines. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's something like that. So you get them to picture out long term, because generally most people don't think long term, and by doing that, you're literally like changing. You're just changing their perspective. There's some psychology stuff behind it. I won't explain it all right now, but you get them to start talking about what it'd be like without this pain, without these doubts, without these consequences, you know. And then after that, you kind of throughout this whole conversation, you want to be qualifying them for a few things. The main thing you want to qualify someone for is that they're actually a good client to work with, right? They're not going to annoy you to death as a client. You know, it's not somebody who, you know, they're going to spend, say, a couple $100 on Facebook ads and then it doesn't work and they just freak out, you know, or they spend like $50 on Facebook ads. It doesn't work. I don't have any clients, and then they just fuck off, right? Because that happens. So throughout this call, you're asking these questions, and you're trying to like get a feel for how this person is. And then finally, you just make them an offer, right? So there's a few ways to do this, but the main thing is you're explaining it so that you're presenting your offer as like the solution to like it's a solution to their doubts, a solution to these pains, and it's way less than the cost of not doing it. And when you frame it to how expensive it is, like financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, maybe. When you frame the investment in working with you compared to like this big monster, if they don't get this solved, it should be a no-brainer, right? So that's really how you do it. I could get into the tactical of like how we close, but if you do all this stuff right, you're not going to get a lot of objections. You're not going to get a ton of people who are like, oh, like send me testimonials or like all this stuff, right? Especially if you explain your offer in a way that makes sense to them logically, that, oh, this is like what I need. Like for us, like, okay, here's how it works. Like, you don't have to see a million case studies to know this will work. Like, we're putting an ad in front of like your target market. They have a certain pain just like you, and then they're getting interested, they watch a video, they get motivated, educated, excited. You solve a tiny bit of their problem, and then they reach out to you for more, right? And then we follow up with them if they don't get on the call. There's back-end stuff. I wouldn't even explain all this on the phone call, but if you explain it like that, there's no one's gonna be like, oh, well, like, I don't believe it works. It's just like a logical thing, like 1 + 1 = 2. So that's how you want to do it. If this helped, share it with somebody. Share it with someone who is struggling with sales, and take notes, right? So to recap, you want to dig into the pain. You go into their doubts, the doubts around whether or not they can do it themselves. And usually the questions you ask related to the doubts are related to your offer. Number 3, you want to dig into the consequences of not taking action. 4, you want to get into their vision. 5, you want to qualify them. And then finally, you want to close them. All right, so we don't really have like a million different closing techniques. That's kind of like old school. If you read like, I think I read a ton of sales books, and like the Tom Hopkins or like even Grant Cardone, they have like these 50 million stupid closes. Like, you don't need that, right? So someone's like, I've gone through this whole process with them, and then they're like, okay, like how much is it? So I'll be like, well, your investment for getting us to build this pipeline system up for you, where you get 3 to 5 clients every month repeatedly, and so you never have to worry about lead generation anymore, is just $9,800. And then you just shut up. Okay, so that's basically our closing system. It's not really that complicated, but the psychology of what happens when you walk them through this process, it works for selling just about anything. Now, if you need a script after watching this, I mean, you can write out questions. I would suggest you write out questions around the pain, the doubts, the consequences, the vision. Write them out in your own words, how you would just say it, and then practice that, and then practice like a close, like I just said. All right. So anyway, hopefully this helps. This is information that I should be charging for realistically, but obviously there's more stuff that goes to it. Anyway, take it easy, have a great day, and talk to you soon.